Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. And should I say good morning, everybody? Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast lineup for you this morning, as we always do. We're gonna start off as we usually start off with a topic. But it's not going to be the topic of the day. But before I do that, I want to let you know that the phone lines are open. Let me put them up on the screen here. The phone lines are open. We'd love to have your input on what we're going to talk about now. The phone number is 508 924 3521. I think I'm getting that number down. I think I'm getting that number down pretty good. 92. It is 508 924 3521. 508 924 3521. Give us a call. We love to have your input. We love to hear what you have to say on this here morning. On this here morning. Okay, I'm multitasking. Y'all know how I do when I start the broadcast. I'm multitasking. Oh man, I'm tripping. I ain't even got my headphones on. I'm tripping. Now I can hear. Now I can hear like I'm there we go. Now we cooking with grease. I am tripping this morning, boy. Y'all excuse me. Y'all excuse me. And one more time, y'all please excuse me because I am tripping this morning. Didn't even have my headphones on. But now I got them on. And let me see here. Now I did something fancy. What have I done here? Okay. There we go. Now we're cooking with grease. I got moving stuff around and doing all kind of different things, man. I'm doing how the young folks say I'm doing too much. I'm doing too much around here this morning. I gotta get my spit together. I need to get my spit together. Now, there we go. I'm getting making sure I got the making sure everything is up. See, I got a low battery in my remote control. So that means I gotta go out there and buy me some more batteries. That's okay. But listen, I hope you all had a great day yesterday. I hope you joined us. I hope you shared the broadcast. I definitely hope you shared the broadcast. But right now, what I want to ask you a question, and this is something that came across the bar, actually this morning. And I want to hear your heart and how you feel about it. They're asking the question. They're saying that felons, if someone is a felon or have a felony on their record, that for whatever reason they're trying to not allow them to vote. And my question to you is: should felons, after you've served your time, you've done everything, you've served your time, you've been released, they got to pay all the little retributions and all that stuff. After all that stuff is done, should a felon be allowed to vote? Should a felon be allowed to vote? I got some ideas and some thoughts about this. And I was listening to I listened to the Black Eagle on the way in some mornings, on XM radio, Sirius radio, and the Black Eagle, Joe Madison show. Just in case some of y'all don't know who that is, I listened to him and he was talking about that this morning. And he had a few people call in and voice their opinion. They say they're actually ex felons themselves, and the difficulties that they're having in trying to vote. Say they're having so many difficulties in trying to vote and they just want to get their rights back. Now, if a person is a felon and has committed a crime, should they be disqualified from voting because they committed a crime, they committed a heinous crime, whatever it is, a felony? Should they be allowed? Should they be allowed to go and vote after they've served their time? They served their time, paid, quote unquote, paid their debt to society. They've paid their debt to society, and now they want they paid the retributions and all this stuff. They got all kind of monies involved in this thing. It becomes a money thing as well. Y'all know it is. After they've done all those, fulfilled all those obligations, now they did commit the crime. Should they be able to vote? Give me a call. 508 924 3521. 508 924 3521. Give me a call. Let me know what you think. If a person has committed a felony, they've committed their felony, they've done the crime. There's no doubt they did the crime. Okay, they've served their time, they've been released. Should they be able to vote? Should they be able to go back and now that they've done all this stuff, the quote unquote requirements, should they be able to vote? I would like to know what you think. Give me a call. 508 924 3521. 508 924 3521. Give me a call. And y'all be careful because I'm learning this number pretty good, man. I had the other number down to a science, but I'm learning this one right here. Oh, got something going on the screen. Okay, 48 beings. Okay, I don't know what that means, but okay. There we go. We got there are different things going on different platforms that we have. Yeah, I just want to know what you all think. Should they be able to vote? Should they be able to now that they've done what it is that they've done? Like I said, they paid their debts to society. They've gotten out, um, clean slate now. Probably even been out. One guy said he did something when he was a teenager. He committed his felony when he was a teenager. Now he's in his 40s. He's in his 40s. Have his own business, doing very well for himself, but still he don't have the right to vote. Is that right? Now he did something when he was a teenager. Probably got tried as an adult or whatever. Maybe he was 8, 17, 18 years old. Got a felony, got a felony, went to prison, did his time, got out. Listen to them, got out. Started, did everything he had to do. Started his own business. Say he's doing very well for himself. Money is never an issue, and he's done all these things that he had to do. But now he still cannot vote. Is that right? Is that should they withhold? And what do you think the reasoning behind it is? Is it because of the fact that they're trying to stack the numbers in their favor? And speaking of the Republicans, are they trying to stack the numbers in their favor so that they would know that, okay, we don't let you vote? Because if you vote 9 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, you're going to vote Democratic. And that's going to go against us. Now we have all these individuals that's going out there and they're voting Democratic. It's going to hurt our results, our end results. So do you think that has something to do with it? Or are they just being such civil citizens? Are they just being such nice citizens? You committed a crime. You committed a crime. And because of the fact that you committed that crime, you do not have the right to vote in our system. That just totally took away your right to vote because you knew what you was doing when you was going out there committing this crime. You knew what you was doing. And because of the fact that you committed that crime, now you do not have the right to vote. You expunge your right to vote when you committed that crime. I don't care you paid your debt to society. I don't care nothing about that. What I do care about is you committed that crime. You did it. You know you did it. You was found guilty of doing it. You served your time, paid your retribution, all these different things, but still you ain't gonna vote in this system. Because you shouldn't have committed that crime. You knew what you was doing when you went out there and did it. And so now you've expunged your right. You have expunged your right to vote. No, you won't vote. No, you will not. Now, does that make sense? And I wonder some of the people that are saying stuff like this, have they ever done anything that they needed forgiveness for? Have they ever had to go back to somebody and apologize for something that they did? And if the answer is yes to that question, had the police become involved in some of the things that they've done, would they have been locked up, incarcerated? Maybe not even a felony, but being locked up and incarcerated. Or maybe if it was to the level of being a felony, would they want to have their right to vote? 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. The phone lines are open. Give us a call. We love to hear from you. I want to know what you all think about this situation. Because they committed the crime. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They did. We know they did. Everybody know they did. They did it. They committed the crime. But because of the fact that they committed that crime, does that mean that they should not have the right to vote? Does that mean that their right to vote should be expunged, totally just washed away? You cannot vote. You will not vote. Ain't no way in this world you're gonna vote in our system because you are a felon. You committed a felony crime. And when you commit a felony crime, you knew what it was when you committed that crime, that you were not going to be able to continue to vote in our system. So go over there and sit down somewhere. You cannot vote. You will not vote. And besides, your voting does not help my cause at all. So why should I let you vote? 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Give me a call. Let me know what you think about this whole situation. Should a person that committed a felony, should they be able to vote? Should they be able to go out there and vote just like everybody else? Should they have the right to vote like everybody else? Mm, that's a question. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go to a song. You know, I like to play songs in the beginning before everybody get here. So I'm gonna play this song right here. This is on Dietrich Haddon. Dietrich Haddon. The name of the song is "A Billion People." I won't stop until I hear a billion people singing. Gee, I can't sing, y'all, but I try sometimes. Here you go. Listen to the song. You're listening to DKM Media Group and Associates, and this is the Morning Glow.
Every knee shall bow, every tongue confess that you are Lord. You are a living legend, God of earth and heaven. You are Lord. Come on. True, true, it's so true. You are Lord. And I won't stop until I got a billion people saying, Jesus. Oh, oh, Jesus. I wish I had some worshipers. Everybody say, Jesus. I won't stop until I got the whole world saying, Jesus. Even one day, sinners gonna have to humble themselves and say that Jesus is Lord. I won't stop until I got the whole world saying, Jesus. Jesus, come on, touch. I won't stop until I got a billion. Not ashamed to say his name. Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. Power is in that name. Power is in that name. Power is in that name. Jesus. Oh, hey. Jesus. You are Lord. You are Lord. Yeah. You are Lord. Everybody in the room, come on. You are Lord. Yeah. 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 Oh. Help me worship you now. Everybody in the room now, see. Come on, just lay out in God's presence. Come on, church.
I won't stop until I hear a billion people saying, "Gee." If I sing, I'll be a. I'm gonna tell y'all something. Let me turn my video back on because I'm gonna tell y'all something. If I could sing I would be a rougher. If I could sing, I don't even know if I'd be doing this right here. If I could sing, I'd probably be somewhere touring all over the place, man, and doing all kind of crazy stuff, man. And yeah. And speaking of crazy things, this is something else that came on my heart. Why is it? Why is it that sometimes I've heard from for some very reputable people, I've heard that sometimes some of your best partiers doing concerts and stuff like that, that party the most, get high, drink, do all kind of things, are Christian artists. I've heard that, man. That's a little disturbing to me. That's a little disturbing. And some people say, well, man, you being judgmental, or that's like you doing this and you doing that. But my thing is, if I say I represent a certain thing, I want to represent it wholeheartedly. I want to represent it all the way, not just partly, not just when it's convenient for me. I say this all the time. Sometimes, man, sometimes people are more concerned with what's in Jesus's hand than Jesus himself. Let that sink in. Sometimes they're more interested in what's in Jesus' hands, the gifts that he could give you. They're more interested in that than they are in Jesus himself. And that's a sad reality. That's a real sad reality. But anyway, let's get back to our topic, man. The phone lines are still open. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. We're talking about, should a felon, if you have a felony, somebody says some Leonard, good morning, Raheem, and the Morning Glow family. Good morning, Captain Leonard. How you doing this morning? Captain Leonard? Good to have you, brother. Definitely good to have you. Always good to have you, man. And I'm looking forward to the day when we get you back on this platform, brother, so you can bring it like Leonard bring the Leonard Jones back in here, man. And because we miss you, brother, and we definitely want to have you back with us, man. As soon as you're able to come back in, man, the door is always open, brother. You always got a chair at the table. This your chair right here, brother. That's your chair right there. Like I say, we're gonna get you back in the studio and we're gonna do it the way we used to do it, man. So just get yourself better first. First things are first. And I want to make sure that you're better and that you're healthy, man, and you're back to Leonard Jones. And then we're gonna put this back on track, man, and we're gonna keep it moving. That's what we're gonna do. So Leonard Jones, man, prayers out for you, brother. Praying for you every day, brother. Speedy recovery, man. Take the time that you need to get yourself right. That's what's priority to me. That you're right, man, and that you're back healthy, 110%. Love you, man. I tell the world that love you. You're my brother, and I love you, man. Anyway, now, should a felon, should a person, man, woman, that committed a felony, should they be able to vote? Should they be able to go there and cast their ballots? You got some states that wouldn't. You got some states. I think Georgia is one of the states that once they do everything that they have to do, I think Georgia is one of the states that will allow a ex-felon. I'm not even gonna call them a felon, an ex-felon, because they've paid their debt to society. If I owe you something, I pay you. I don't owe you no more. If I borrow something from you or whatever, or you give me or whatever, and I pay you for that in full, I don't owe you anymore. So I'm not even gonna call him a felon. I'm gonna call him an ex-felon. Should an ex-felon, after they've done everything that they have to do, after they paid their debt to society, done all the time that was required for them to do, after they've completed that, paid their retribution, a lot of time they got to pay the little retribution and stuff like that. They got to have some money tied up in that thing some kind of way. After they done all the requirements, should they be able to vote? What do you think about it? 508-924-3520, 3521. 508-924-3521. Give me a call. I think I have somebody on the line here. Who do we have this morning? Good morning. I think this is hold on. I'm not gonna assume who this is because I think I know the number. But who is this? Good morning. How you doing this morning? Who we got on the line? Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? Caller, are you there? Caller, I believe you're on mute. There you go. I think I heard something coming through now. I think I heard some bubbling going on. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Buenos dias. It's VP out of Connecticut.
Man, you come here with all kind of them languages, man. We don't know what that mean, man. We say, look at man. We say good boy.
I don't be knowing now. But yesterday, I'm like, I don't know what to say. I'm gonna start saying a different language.
Look at man. Look at we
What day it is today?
Look, we say good morning in the parts, brother. I don't know that fancy stuff you doing over there. We look in the parts. We say good morning. We say good morning. How you doing this morning? Hey VP, how you doing, brother?
Good morning. Blessed, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For another day, actually.
There you go. VP, I got a question for you, man. And you know this is not the topic, man. We always start somewhere else, and we'll make our way back to the topic. But VP, if a person that committed a felony, they've committed a felony, and we know that they did. They did it. They did their time, and they paid the retribution. Because you know they always gotta have some money tied up in that thing, man. After they've done all those requirements, should an ex-felon be allowed to vote?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
No, I won't even, because you know when you start going that matter, like, well, he was a felon because he performed these type of crimes and all this. But if he rightfully did the time and paid for what he's supposed to, he or she, I guess you don't want to put it on the male only, but
exactly,
then there's no reason to be holding him back from being a part of citizenship again. Because even with some of the most egregious ones, such as child predators or I forgot the word that went out my brain, where you got to register and the community knows who you are. Sex abuse, yeah, even that's still an option. That's still giving them an option to be a part of society. Even though people may know what they do, it's an option to try and get to know, because you never know what happened to them while they were serving time. Their heart could have been changed. They could have met God in prison, been somebody different, because you're judging them off of their past preferences. Then you're also becoming less human than they are. And that's the thing I think people are starting to not see in these daily world, that they put themselves above people, and they're actually becoming less human than the people that they're pretending they aren't human. And that's, when you get to this non-voting part, most of it is because a lot of it is done in those southern states where they're wrongly convicting people, holding them in there for a long time. And then you got, politics, you got the black vote goes Democratic. So a lot of these convicts and ex-cons are usually of minority race and usually vote Democrat. So that would be a bigger slide for a Democratic Party if convicts and ex-cons could actually vote. But that's my personal opinion.
And see, and to your point, brother, they got there's so many different states out here, man. There's so now Georgia is one of the states, if I'm not mistaken, Georgia is one of the states. Once you've done your time and paid your retribution, because like I said again, they got to get their money. They always want to get their money. But once you've done all these things, they would allow you to vote again. They would allow an and I don't call them a felon. I call them an ex-felon, because like I said earlier, if I owe you something and I pay you, I no longer owe you. And so once they paid all their debt to society, Georgia, I think, is one of the states that would allow you to vote. I think North Carolina is right now is trying to pass it where a felon can vote. But there's so many states, VP. There's a lot of states out there right now that if you are a felon, ex-felon, they won't allow you to vote, man. And I don't understand how could you take that away from one person, but you still listen now, you still will allow them to pay their taxes. You don't pay taxes. Isn't that one of the rights that you have, to pay your taxes, just like voting? So how do they do that? How do they draw that line? Speak to me. Help me understand it.
It has to be just like it has to be a front where people are paying attention. Which doing a show like this actually brings that awareness to a lot of people, because a lot of people that just don't think about it. They don't think when voting time comes around, there's people sitting around who don't get that opportunity to pay their time. People want to be a part of the lifestyle.
Your volume is real low, brother.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, much better, much better.
Oh, switching. I'm out grocery shopping early this morning.
Oh, okay.
But I'm saying a lot of people don't want to acknowledge that this is even happening. Same with hello, morning, how are you?
I'm waiting to go home. How about you?
Not even with the same with this Black Lives Matter thing, where everybody was, police brutality when they put on Black Lives Matter. They go across the board being brutal, but people wouldn't acknowledge that police were doing this until it was actually brought to the forefront to those people who care and can actually move the laws.
Mm-hmm.
So even if our communities know about it, but if we don't get in there and get somebody on our side that's actually going to listen to, because it does impact us more than it impacts other communities, that we're not getting this opportunity to vote. Because also, if you're paying attention, a lot of these ex-convicts or people who have done time are usually put in the lowest income communities because they're not given an opportunity to get a job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So by upholding that look and standard of, oh, well, this is the best you can do, this is the best you can come out of, they start to get that mindset because they were already being developed that way inside the system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. They've been there for a long time, so they bring that mentality outside to the communities where they're at. And that, initially they come out and they're excited about being in the world, they're excited about trying something new, and they figure out, every door starts to close. So what do? You go right back to what you were doing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And increasing the likelihood that you're going to end up right back in that same situation again.
And start actually impacting people around you. So the people who's really good at it, they see that they're making money not off the government, not off of these people, and the kids are being influenced to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, you live in the hood, but still riding in the Escalade.
Mm-hmm.
Why should I have to go get a job if you ain't doing it?
Exactly.
I see you prospering well.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get out and I do my time, get out, and it don't matter a few years, I come back, got a buddy gonna hold me down. It's a system.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And Captain Leonard said, once you pay your debt to society, your civil rights should be restored. And that's absolutely right. They should be restored. But in so many situations, man, they're not. They're not restored because of the fact that you got certain individuals that don't want you to vote, because it may not even line up with their agenda. They know that a lot of times certain individuals, if they vote, they're gonna vote a certain way, and if it don't line up with what it is that who they are, what their mission is, if you will, then they don't want you to vote, man. They don't want you to vote against them, and so they're gonna try to suffocate your right. And that's what they're doing, VP. They're suffocating a person's right, civil rights. What do you say to that?
Yeah, that's exactly. They've been doing that since the Jim Crow.
Mm-hmm.
Even before Jim Crow, right after they black people started becoming senators. It's like, oh, they can really start moving.
Mm-hmm.
So they started indentured slavery, and they said, oh, you're free, but you owe me.
Mm-hmm.
And that mentality was passed generation to generation, thinking, well, if I work hard enough, I can get out.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden we're in a society where we can't even work hard enough to get out because it became a norm.
Mm-hmm.
You got those that bubble out and become entrepreneurs, but for the most part, the whole United States society has now become, well, if you work hard enough, you get out. Every day, most of us can't.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Most of us are still in indentured service. No matter what our skin color is, we're in indentured service to the United States. And the people that really getting it is the ones that's going to jail, and we're trying to keep away from that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. State laws make that possible. Captain Leonard says state laws make that possible. State laws or what it is that make that possible. And so that and he's absolutely right. And that's one of the reasons why it's so important. See, a lot of times, man, when it's time to vote for the president of the United States of America on a national or something like that, everybody will run out there and they want to vote, and they want to make sure that they cast their votes and different things, which is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that, and I encourage you to continue to do that. But at the same time, don't forget your state. Don't forget the state that you live in. You have to vote there too. You have to have the same enthusiasm that you have when you're voting for the president of the United States, when you're voting your governor, your mayor, and all these representatives, that people represent you, because these are the people that make the laws in your state. And so if you don't go out there and vote on the state level, and if you don't vote on the state level, then you VP, I think you're missing it. I think you're missing you're missing the boat if you don't vote also on the state level. What do you say to that?
2012, when Obama got elected the second time, that's when I realized how important it was to start voting at a state level. Because, you know, everybody was hype off the 2018. We actually got a black guy that's running for president. We knew the nation was going to come together and get it. And they knew, we didn't know that Congress really runs the nation. So no matter what, Obama, the first speech them boys made in 2010 after they won again was going to make Obama a one-time president. And a lot of people ignored that. And I realized then, you know what, laws ain't going to get passed the way we think they're going to get passed until I learn who my mayor is, until I learn who my governor is. So I learned, like, Governor Lamont here in Connecticut was, for me, he's very progressive, but they kill us with taxes. But I would rather have that than the freedom of being down there in the South and they hitting you off a stereotype. They're hitting, like I tell my cousins all the time, although they loosen up the laws of cannabis up here and it's what it is, they still lock y'all up down there for that. The same nation. This is the same nation. And y'all not arguing it. Not even if y'all think it's a devil's drug, it's a devil's drug. But at least say, you know what, I don't want to go to jail for it. I don't want my cousins to go to jail for it. That's how simple it makes everything is, and about the state laws and about who you like. Keisha Lansbottom and Stacey Abrams would have changed Georgia. Yeah. If people had just stayed steadfast long enough through both elections. Now you got governor and the southern states to be afraid. I mean, you guys are staying down there with COVID like it ain't nothing, but a lot of them governors don't care about y'all kids. They want to get rid of mandates to have masks. You get away the rights of people. Knowing that what the mask supposed to do? What rights did a mask take away from you? Yeah, exactly. This is coming up a lot of y'all gingivitis breath. Nobody wants to hear all that hot mouth. That's a lot of hot mouth around here, and nobody wants to listen. Yeah. That fire they're breathing out fire. Breathing out that fire, boy. I'm gonna tell you, they burning up eyebrows and everything, bro. You leave a conversation with them and you don't like you've been to the barber shop because they done cut everything off for you. And Linda say laugh out loud. Great line. You got the best line up there here. Exactly. But see, that's the thing right there. And back to our initial conversation, man. I think that, and this is just me talking, you know, everybody got their own way of looking at things and their way of viewing things. But I think that once a person pay their debt to society, like Leonard said, once they pay their debt to society, their civil rights should be restored, and they should have the right to vote. If you're gonna tell them, like I said earlier, if you're gonna tell them that they can't vote, then stop them from paying taxes too. Tell them you don't have to pay taxes. You don't have to pay any taxes. You know, we're taking away your right to vote, so you know you don't have to pay no taxes on nothing. You don't have to pay any taxes at all. I guarantee you, if somebody fight that fight and say, look here, okay, I can't vote, that's fine. I also don't want to pay taxes. Man, you got a mess there. Now you're talking about the money. VP, talk to me. You're gonna have the CIA after you. You keep talking like that. They don't like that now. But see, start coming out not paying them the money. Yeah, they was all fine with you just being arguing about it. But you talking about not paying taxes. You talking about getting some FBI, CIA trouble. But that is smart. Yeah. Because that's how you beat them. That's how you beat them. If you know what? I'm not. Obviously, you're saying I'm not an American citizen, so why should I pay taxes? Exactly. You can't. It should be all my rights and none of them. Yeah, you can't pick and choose. You cannot pick and choose, man. Which rights do I get? Which rights I don't get? When everybody else get all of them. So my thing is, okay, I can't vote. Okay, that's fine.
I also don't want to pay. Let me see. I also don't want to pay taxes. I don't want to pay taxes because if I can't vote, then I also can't pay taxes. It's fine. It's a give or take. You give that, I'm gonna take this. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. But you can't have it both ways. You cannot, and you will not have it both ways. Talk to me, VP.
Yeah, I was, when you were going through, I was trying to figure out how they would say, well, you got to pay taxes, because they're not stopping you from getting houses and getting cars, and so how would you still giving them how would you stipulate that to be like, I'm just not gonna pay no taxes at all. Like I learned the tax system, so I don't pay my taxes half a year because I realized the refund I gotta wait 5 months to get.
Yep.
That's that ain't the same as not paying taxes. That's just you learning the system they have. I don't know how you would get that without them saying, "Well, you're a felon. I'm gonna put you back in jail."
Yeah.
For tax evasion.
Oh, yeah, better be careful. They'll try to think of a way now. They'll try to and they'll make up some spur of the moment. They'll make up something on the spur of the moment to entrap you in some kind of way.
That mobster that they couldn't get him on nothing but tax evasion.
Yep, exactly. And that's how they do it. We talk. Let me see. Somebody just asked me. I'll take it for a second, man. I gotta respond to this thing I got here. Talk to him for a minute, VP.
I was hoping I'll get a break. I'll try to go through the grocery thing so y'all hear this sound. But I have a friend who's an ex-con, and a lot of times we've had to actually help him out with money things because he's trying to get a job in certain locations that would provide a better life for him. And in the end, you get through all the interviews just to get to the background, and they tell him that he can't be hired because of his process. And this is a good guy. The only thing he did was he got in trouble in the military, which is a federal charge.
Yeah, absolutely.
He didn't actually kill nobody, rape nobody. He got in trouble for having marijuana in the military. And he got kicked out on federal charges because it was on a federal base in his federal dorm. So he got beat down, and now he's in the street. He served, volunteered. He volunteered to go into the military, serve this nation, this great nation of ours, and couldn't let go of the streets a little bit while he was doing that, which I can't get mad at him about that. But they held it against him where he can't do nothing else with his life. He can't do nothing with his life. He could barely get fast food jobs.
Wow.
Barely get fast food jobs. The best thing that happened to him is he found some Mexicans, and they pay him under the table. That's the way he's living right now, and he's living better than us under the table.
Oh yeah. And not paying taxes. We got another caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yep.
I need to get that information y'all talking about, living better than us, getting paid under the table. I want to do that.
Man, I think you're doing pretty good. What you doing already, brother?
I came in at the right time.
But Lord Jesus, let me ask you this question, though, Tucson. And good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Yeah, it's all good, country.
Yes, sir. Tucson, now we're talking about, and Wanda, I see you over there, Wanda. Get a chance, give us a call, Wanda. The number done changed is 508-924-3521. The number done changed, so you get opportunity, give us a call. I see my phone lines are blowing up this morning, so we're going to go ahead on and get into this thing. Tucson, we got another caller. Hold on, we're coming to you in just 1 second. Tucson, now we're talking this morning about this. If a felon, a guy or a girl commit a felony, and they do their time, come out, and they got to pay the retribution. They got to get their money. The state always got to get their money some kind of way out you. He or she has done all that, but they still tell them that they cannot vote. They still tell them that they cannot vote. Should an ex felon, and I say ex felon, should they be able to vote?
If So if they say they serve their time,
Yes.
and they don't allow them to do that,
Mm-hmm.
what's the point? It don't make no sense.
Mm-hmm.
It don't make no sense. It's just a to eliminate another vote. And guess what?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, they will incarcerate a certain type of people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Come on.
That's
Come
all I'm
on.
gonna say about that one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hey, it's clear. They just try to make it look like it's a maze. It's not a maze. It's always been clear
Mm-hmm.
how they try to stupidly and ignorantly undermine folks.
Mm-hmm.
And they try to make it a maze. They sit in their judge seat, and I still see by their way they conduct themselves. I still see them in the hood, not in the hood,
Mm-hmm.
but having their grand dragon uniform on.
Yes, sir. Come on. Come on.
It shows. It shows when they pull you off on the side of the road, and they want to give you a ticket for what you didn't do,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
hold you long enough, or follow you because you driving a certain type of car.
Exactly.
You're not supposed to.
Mm-hmm. How you get this car?
Where you going?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where you going? What do you mean where I'm going? I'm driving.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm supposed to be doing? Sitting in the middle of the highway, not moving? I'm going somewhere. Where
Yeah.
I'm going is not your business.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
So when a person says that we're going to release you back into society, then they release them. Leave them alone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll be glad to get some of them on the job, because the ones that's free, that have never been incarcerated, they don't know how to work.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
I'll hire some of them. Sure
Mhm.
will.
Exactly. Exactly. Give him a good
I'm
job.
just-
Wanda said, the system is rigged, and as long as we stay asleep, nothing will change. Nothing will change. Is what she's. Yeah,
Exactly.
and that's where we are, man. That's really where we are. Curtis, good morning. We got a couple of other calls. Y'all give me 1 second. I'm gonna go in the order in which they came in. Curtis, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Hey, what up, man? What's going on?
Hey, doing good, doing good. What do you say to that, Curtis? If a person has paid ex-felon has paid a debt, did their time, come out, pay the retribution, what they got to do, should they be able to vote? Should they be able to vote, and why or why not?
Ryan, I personally feel like they shouldn't have never lost their right to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Even while they was locked up,
Mhm.
they shouldn't have lost the right to vote. I mean, let me break it down like this right here. If that same person can be utilized for free labor, and an outside entity that's utilizing them is making money off of their labor,
Mm-hmm.
they should be allowed the right to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Slavery.
What we saying, their crime, what we saying is their crime was bad enough for them to work for you for just about for free,
Mm-hmm.
but bad enough to take their right to vote. That don't make sense to me. I'm confused. I even confused myself when I think about it. But what I'm saying is,
You say you confuse yourself when you think about it, brother.
huh?
You say
Yeah,
you
I
confuse.
confuse myself, man. It's just it's so much buffoonery and so much phoniness. So you telling me that a guy gets locked up? He gets locked up on a felony. As soon as he get locked up, he get processed. He loses his right to vote.
Mm-hmm.
But the system can make him get up and go to work every day,
Yep.
in which they only paying him 75 cents an hour, bro.
Mm-hmm.
75 cents an hour. And he's doing a job that somebody is making major dollars off of. Don't get that twisted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Somebody making buku money. So he's getting up every day. He's going to work. He in a work release program, whatever. Somebody making money off of him, but he can't vote.
Mm.
So if he's being abused, And his abuse is just giving him a job. Oh, he can work for the abuser, but he can't put in a vote, or he don't have a word to say that no, I don't want this guy in charge of us no more. That's crazy, man.
Okay. Leonard said this right here. Leonard said, and he's actually watching this. He said, that's really not the point. There should be a punishment for breaking the laws of society. He said there should be a punishment for breaking the laws of society. What you say, Curtis? Couldn't hear you.
Huh?
We didn't hear that. Say it again.
I said the punishment is being locked up.
Oh, yeah.
That's what the punishment is. The punishment, okay, when you go to court, you go to trial. When you go to trial and the judge decides to sentence you, right? Find you guilty, and the judge decides to sentence you. The judge sentences you to a series of months or a series of years. It all depends. Thanks, bro. All depends on which judge you got, right?
Okay.
So when the judge sentences you to a series of months or a series of years, right? What is that? If that is not okay, you did this crime. This is how much time you're gonna get. Go set your butt down somewhere. But I don't think it's proper to then sentence a man to prison, and then you're gonna say that, oh, he gotta go and work for Joe Smo at 75 cents an hour.
Okay.
Everything that deals with anybody making any kind of financial gains off of this guy, that's okay. But any kind of intellectual capital that's brought forward or brought to the table, or that this guy may present, is locked up too. When do we lock up intellectual capital? I need to know that.
Wow. Let me read this right here. Then I'm gonna go to Toy You with a T. I think we had Toy You with a T with us this morning. But Leonard also said the issue of voting is related to taxation without representation. Kurt's issue is related to the amendment allowing slavery if incarcerated. And then he also said the 13th Amendment. Toy You with a T, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Hello, how you doing?
Hey, doing good, sis. What's on your heart about what we're talking about? Donald Toussaint, be on standby. Coming to you next.
Let me tell you something. Now, 1776, when they came up with that Constitution, for who? For what?
Yes, absolutely.
The people they made the Constitution for were the criminals.
Come on.
I'm just throwing that out there. I'm just saying. But anyway, Jesus was a prisoner. He didn't do nothing. He was a prisoner. So that means he couldn't vote either. So listen, see, look. 1776, we all know what happened. Ain't nobody thinking about that piece of paper. Thinking about that piece of paper. It's a piece of paper that some criminals writ on, and they said, okay, this is what we're going to do for y'all. And that, that poses a problem for me because it didn't go for them. They ran around and killed people to take land. So when they enslaved us black folks, as a way, we're going to come up with the Constitution so we can do this and a third. They didn't have no intent. They just wanted a better, more professional way to enslave folk. I just did a lot yesterday. I said, you know what that happened was, when they thought about they get more labor done with everybody instead of pointing out black folk, they're like, oh, anybody can get it. Let's go ahead and write this piece of paper because we're not just going to do this to black folks. We get our folks, they folks, some folks, high folks, aliens, you name it. You come over here. We're going to put you in captivity. So, I think that whole design was a setup on top of the setup that they already placed us here. It's already a setup, the Constitution, that they don't follow. That was set up by criminals who have the most violent authority over people. That's what it was about. So now here we are 400 years later, acting like we don't understand that the criminal system is still there. Because they still killing black folks unarmed. They still breaking laws of the Constitution. They still breaking these laws now. And they expect us to uphold it. So a prisoner not being able to vote, first of all, again, let's go back now. They imprison us for some of the things that they just didn't like. We have their business, I have my business. Oh, we'll put him in jail because I went and took his land and stole acres of it for $300. They always came up with new rules. And then they would enslave us wrongfully. So on top of that, they come with this, oh, now you can't vote. See, this is why black people be like, we don't vote anyway, because it's too much. Every time we do something else, they do something else. Every time we do this, they do something else. And voting is just another setup. It's just another setup for them to be able to take away a power or freedom that it means to give. It's a mirage. I'm a whole human being. Your paper don't have power over me, even if it gives me a power to vote. A voting power still doesn't have the power over me when y'all kill me, when y'all wrongfully put me in jail, and there's nothing I can do about it. Spend years in there. You know what I mean? So when it comes to this voting process that is linked to this Constitution of ours, all of that is in the same game. So they're going to do what they want to do. I believe if you're a whole human being, you should be able to vote. You locked up, taken away from your family, forced to be enslaved. So you don't have an opinion on who's operating the outside world. Like, I just don't agree with that because you're still a human. But, you know, I'm just the most sympathetic person. I mean, but hey, that's the America.
Good deal. Good deal. We're going to keep this thing going. We're going to go to VP. We got a couple other calls that just called in. So y'all hold on for a second. I'm going to come to you as well. VP, what's on your heart right now?
I like what Toya said, but you said criminals sign that paper. That's exactly, and Leonard makes up a great point too, when he said that misrepresentation is what's killing us, and it's because we haven't. I mean, we're getting better at the game, but we're still not putting ourselves in positions to where we control our own communities the way they're control our communities. So we're still not getting enough people that want to be police officers and lawyers and judges. Which name stood me, but he was like they just all they're doing is switching over their Grand Dragon uniform to a judge uniform and doing the same thing. So as long as they can keep us in the mindset that, you know what, you become a convict, you lose your voting rights, which a lot of people don't even argue with because we're so in messed up day-to-day stuff that we're not thinking about the other person who's being hindered by that until it impacts our community. And now Tyrone's a trouble. He's a problem for the community. But he wouldn't have been if he had got the same opportunities you had if we had got together and voted for our councilors in the neighborhood, and then our mayors and our governors, and we started putting people in position of power that stop stuff like this and stop this corruption in the American system that is almost impossible to beat because it ain't our nation. A lot of the ancestors were brought here, and we're just now we're not that far off with 70 years of real freedom. It's that not even that 50 some years of real freedom, vote with the Voting Rights Act and all that.
Yes.
Discrimination in this up. It's not been a long period, so we're still in this fight. The boys had 250 years to prepare this nation to the way they want it to be, and we're just now 50 years of trying to combat it. So it's going to take a minute. But we got to be smart on how we're fighting it. Because all they want is war. They know what they're good at. They know they're good at shooting at people and making you dissolve everything that you have. But I think our communities are getting smarter in the intellectual aspect of it, and knowing that we don't have to fight you that way.
That's good. That's
and
good.
Money, which you said is the smartest thing, and they knew back in the 50s with the bus riots, is once you mess up this economy, they'll listen to whatever you got to say.
Exactly.
Greed topples everything.
Let me go to Rico. Rico, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Man, grand rises to everybody, man. How's everybody doing?
Hey, doing good, doing good. I want to pose a question to you that Leonard put out there. He's actually listening to us. Not able to call in right now, but he got a couple of questions, and I want you to answer this question. And I think it's a very good question. He said, "Do any of you think of laws outside of racism?" He said, "Why does racism?" I think pretty much what he's saying. Why does racism always have to be a part of? Input it in what you're thinking about and how you're dealing with this thing, even with the law, because we're talking about should a felon be able to vote after they've done their time, paid their debt to society? Should they be able to vote? Because some places won't allow them to do that. So Leonard, tackle that. Rico, tackle Leonard's question. Do any of you think of laws outside of racism?
I mean, I think some people do, but I think at the same time, you have to look at it from the perspective of the your eyes, your experience. You know what I'm saying? So I imagine if you are a black person, of course you will, because if you start actually paying attention to history, you start noticing that some things in this government and law were based on race. When you start talking about voting at one point in time, they said that women and black people couldn't vote. Or maybe minorities, but you know, we're gonna say black people because that's who we talking about. We ain't talking about brown people and yellow people. Because that's our experience, is the fact that we couldn't vote. Just like with women. Women is feminists, they're gonna fight on behalf of feminist progress, and they're gonna you know, fight the laws that target feminists or women. So now this is the reason why maybe we should, because we start talking about voting. They had at one point in time the problem with women not voting and black people not voting, and then everybody got their rights. Now fast forward decades later, you don't hear women talking about their rights being voted. I mean violated. You don't hear women saying, "Man, they taking our rights from us." You don't hear anything, no problems with women. But guess who's still having a problem with retaining their rights to vote? Guess who's always having to thwart attempts to take their rights to vote? Every turn, somebody's still trying to take a certain demographic of people's votes or rights to vote. Now you can easily say, well, they don't target it. It doesn't say black people in the literature or in the language. Of course, it doesn't say black people in the language. You know, it's a new day and age now. They couldn't do that. That'd be too obvious. But when you look at who it would affect, most of the time it would affect the demographic of people that's still complaining of black people. When you start talking about long lines and people handing out water, and the fact that it's long line because people wouldn't show enough voting, or just maybe the changing of the polling places is always affecting the black community. They don't want the people that can't afford to get the rights to vote to receive rights. There's so many different ways they try to put obstacles in place for the poor and the minority. And you know, hate to say it, but in most times, most places, we are the ones affected. So yeah, that's the reason why it's hard for black people to not look at race from their point of view. If I looked at law from anybody else's point of view, I'd be selling out. I can't look at law from a white person point of view.
Okay, Rico, hold on for a second.
From a woman's point of view.
Rico, Leonard said he responded. I think he responded to something you saying. He said, I've had the right to vote ever since I was 18.
Well, that's him. Now, how about other people that didn't? How about other people that lost it? Like we were talking about the felons. You know, when you really think about it, out of all of the different rights you could take from a person, you don't have. What about if you're a felon, you can't come into a bank? What about if you're a felon that you can't work in schools around children, not based on what you were charged with, but a felon? See, they just made it one wholesale thing. You're a felon, we're gonna take your right to vote away. Out of all the things, they took the right to vote away. So that lets you know how important it is, first off. But second of all, when you start looking at the way the system was set up, when you start looking at the laws and who the laws start targeting and who they were able to put in jail more, who's the majority of the prison population now, how over time that happened and how laws kept being created, convict leasing and penal, just all these different ways laws were created to take more rights away from black people. And now we're supposed to forget that. We're supposed to forget that that's actually an agenda. I mean, what is the purpose of supporting critical race theory if you don't want to look at things through racist perspective or racial perspective? It's an issue. So no matter how patriotic you want to get, how American you want to get, how much you want to believe and love this American dream, you still better look at it through the eyes of a black person. Because if they George Floyd you, you'll realize it then.
Wow, that's good. That's good. Let me go back to Kirk. Kirk, what's on your heart, brother?
Hey, you know what? I applaud Leonard because that question is a question that forces us to talk about the backwash, should I say, or talk about not the what, but the how, right? Rico, brother, I'm not even going to say that you just put it in the parking lot, bro. You just sent that one across the pond, bro. You just knocked that ball across the pond. The British is asking you to sign the ball. What Rico is talking about is how laws are applied. What everybody on this panel has been speaking about is how laws are applied. And I've been trying to talk to my young folk, my 18 to 24-year-olds that I work with every day about how laws are applied. I understand what's written. You cannot evaluate law without evaluating race, because the way that the law is applied specifically targets a certain demographic and or population. It has been known for years. There's two things I want to say and then I'm done. Check this out. One, there's a book out there that, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, Toya might know. I wish Muhammad was on this phone, because Muhammad could tell you exactly what the book is. But there's a book out there that it is deemed a part of your process in becoming a judge that you read, that specifically talks about the sentencing for white men and the sentencing for white men and white women, and the sentencing for black men and black women. There's a book out there that you must read in order to become a judge, and you must apply. That's number one. Number two, when you talk about pride, listen, I'm one of those people. I stood in front of a judge on 2 handgun charges. You understand what I'm saying? I don't have no rap sheet. That was my first charge. As an adult, that was my first charge ever. They were going to give me 5 years, no suspended sentence, no parole. I watched one of our Caucasian American brothers go up before the judge before me. He not only had, Raheem, get this, he not only had almost a total of 9 charges. Notice I said almost, because one of them was on the fence. 9 charges, but they messed around and ran his rap sheet in the courthouse. They gave him 24 months probation, unsupervised, and got him out the courtroom. They was going to give me 5 years, no suspended sentence, no parole. You know what that means? That means, Toya, can you help me out what that means? T, can you help me out what that means, T?
What you mean what that mean? That mean you going to jail?
I'm going to jail. No suspended sentence, no parole, no chance of parole. That means that I'm going to take them, what is that, 72 months? I think at 72 months, or something, 72 months, I could be over by 12. Might be 60 months. But I'm going to take them that time, and I'm going to do that time flat, straight to the door.
Straight up.
Not even get the chance to go before parole. I could go in jail, right, and I could have became a bishop in jail.
Right.
But no, parole, you better go sit down somewhere. Go back to the 8x12, boy. Go sit down. No, you're going to give us all 5 of these. So I think what everybody is talking about is something that it's the educational lesson that we need, that I think would be beneficial to them what anymore. They know what. But now to tell them, they know what and why. It's time for us to move to the how, right?
Exactly. Now I'm gonna go back to a comment. Toya, with the team, I'm coming to you with this. This is a comment that Leonard put on the screen as well. He said, if you cared about your right to vote, why did you break the law? If you cared that much about voting, why would you get involved in crime? Toya, what do you say to that?
Okay, so listen, let's talk about
talking to your phone, sis.
Before me. Let's talk about before me, right? Because you got to keep in mind, my crime, him hit me first. I wasn't gonna call no police. I'm gonna get you, and I was cool with that, breaking the law. That's why I didn't run. That's why I turned myself in, because I was cool with that. But I was gonna get him, and you're right. But let's talk about the beginning when they came up with this, right? Emmett Till broke the law. A lot of us broke the law loving each other. See, we get twisted in their law, but we forget all about God's law that he set before humanity. But we get tripped up in these, I'm not going to say that, white folks law, the American laws that wouldn't allow black people to be a human being. That was a law too. To be a slave was a law then too. So for me to be free, they was breaking the law. So we need to look at this as a whole before we start saying, oh, well, you know, before you break the law at one point was just being black. So let's not play ourselves. Now at 40, when I did do some of these things, it was because of the devil. We keep hopping around these principalities because the anger inside of me had me doing things that was not of the Lord. Period. Ain't no in between. And because of some of the things that had been casted upon me, I allowed the devil to use me and put me in situations that had me there. But that's not the spirit of why black people go to jail, man. Don't play with me. A lot of white folks that break crimes and don't go to jail, they turn their head because they're white. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is that when they use their wickedness to incarcerate us, and not all the time for breaking crimes, because a lot of people getting out of jail that didn't do the crime, they don't even care if you did it or not, because that's kind of the spirit on how they feel about us, man. Come on, the jokes. But when you go through this cycle that was created for us, that's why they don't pay attention to white people when they speed. That's why they don't pay attention to white men that beat on their wives. But the black man get into a fight with his wife one time and he get punched in his face when the police roll up. You know who they taking to jail? The black man. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about the injustice of the law when it comes to specifically black people and these higher rates of things that are going on and we're getting caught for that are minor, that can be looked over, that they don't go through. That's happening to us. It's being used unjustly. And that's the point why we're having this conversation. These are things being used unjustly and taking away my right to vote because I'm a criminal that you made me. You made me. They could have let me slide buzzing that boy upside his head. They could have.
They ain't gonna do that.
But nah, I'm cool with that. Come on, y'all. The way you said go, I'm gonna go ahead because I'm cool with that. But still, at the end of the day, with all of the crimes and all of the laws and all of the things that happen and the people who are unjustly and unfairly incarcerated, you're taking away their right to vote. But we're trying to talk about how it's a setup. Because it doesn't apply to everybody. And out of all the things that they could have done, why they do that one? Because I'm a human being. And when I get out, I should still be able to vote. So let's be for real here, man. Let's not play these games, man. This is what they do. They play games with us. And they put us in jacked up situations in our communities and take away fathers. And they're, you shouldn't have been involved in crime. What? Come on, man. You just guilty. Setting a stumbling block in my way to fall over as you are personally pulling the trigger or pulling an electrical handle when you know that man sitting in that chair is innocent.
Donna Toussaint, I'm going back to Leonard. Leonard, he's posting a lot on the theme, and I'm definitely appreciating his input in what we're talking about. Toussaint, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. He said this, and I'm going to read it for you. He said, most laws are created to deter crime, not get black people. Most laws are created to deter crimes, not to get black people. However, if that's what you want to believe, to each his own. What do you say to that?
That's my brother. That is my brother. This, right. With the underline. It's right with the underline because crime is what it is. But there's a prejudice in the criminal system against a certain people. And then the very ones initially that the intent of the police department itself was targeted against a certain race.
Okay.
So, first of all, stop it. You know, when you go out the door, you look different. So stop conducting yourself in a certain way as best you can.
Okay.
Because you can be in a suit now, driving a Bentley or a Chevrolet, and they're going to follow you. Why is that? Why would they follow you, Raheem?
Is it because
you drive a Mercedes?
Is it because of a black man?
I don't know. I mean, you tell me. I mean, the question is out there, and it seems like it's not that. And so at the same time, how can we? If I wanted to manipulate something, the whole thing as a whole, what keeps everything going in this country? Laws. Am I off some? Am I twisted a little bit? Tell me when I get off.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Lawmakers. So if I wanted to really hide it and make it seem like something else, what I would do is, first of all, I'd put my people in place. And then the ones that I would be targeting secretly, I would set up a system where, at the most part, because of their conduct, they would get caught up in it. And I don't know how to really explain it, but you look at this society and you tell me that's not what happens on a daily basis. I can do the same thing. Me and my counterpart that looks different from me can be driving the same speed. Or we can be down the same aisle in the grocery store and they'll watch me.
Yeah.
And they'll help them. Why is that?
Wow.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying. Let me see. Do I have anybody new on the line here? Because I don't want to miss anybody. Okay, I think we got everybody. Okay. Rico, speak to me, brother. What's on your heart?
Please come to me.
Huh?
I said, please come to me.
I come to you after Rico. Hold right there. Rico, what's on your heart?
I just want to know if anybody remembers what the word affluenza means. And then go back and think about that question. And that's going to be my answer. You know, I think about that song Earth, Wind & Fire made called Reasons. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why, you know, things are looked at the way they are. You know, true enough, when they made the laws and they made the crimes, you know, it's easy to say, why did a person go and commit that crime? But now we have motion picture movies with A-list superstars telling the stories of people that almost got electrocuted for something they did not do. And for some reason, there's an overwhelming demographic of people that seem like they continuously look like the ones that are always the ones going through this. So now we talk about our population, our prison population, the way they look like us the most. And we start talking about convict leasing. There's a reason behind that. We start talking about black codes. There was a reason behind that. We start talking about peonage. There was a reason behind that. All of it came after slavery. We start talking about Wilmington, North Carolina, and how they use the government to just go and ordain regular 1 month bathing funky, barbaric white people as judges to go and right off taking black people land and running them off of it on the spot. And then they hire redcoats up under them to go ahead and complete that terror under the guise of government and law. They utilize that hand of it. Convict leads and black codes, peonage, and they use all of these things through law to target black people. So that's the reason why black people look at law through black eyes and have black issues.
Mm-hmm.
And we always have to do that because we do understand that they pick and choose, like Curtis said earlier, how they apply it. They pick and choose, and some even in the past they didn't even pick and choose how they apply it. They just put it in the language. They just let you know right off the top this is what it was. But later on, as we started getting more and more rights, they started finding more and more covert ways to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to the point where even government officials, like the man that killed Ahmaud Arbery, the father, imagine him being a cop for decades and never even finishing the requirements to even be an official policeman, and they know it, and they still let him keep being a cop, even after being written up, after having complaints filed against him, still never completing these courses to be a certified officer, but still just having the privilege for somebody, district attorneys and all, to know this and still go ahead and let you be a cop. To sit back and let you kill somebody and wait 3 months before they even release it. You don't see that happening with black policemen. You don't see that. Well, maybe Sheriff Clark doesn't see that happen. So, you know, so we really have to understand that from our historical point of view, we have to look at it like that because they made it that way. We believed at one point in time. Black people have been believing in the American dream and the political system so much, and black people are the ones that start to believe it doesn't work more than anybody. And it's crazy that another black person would second guess why when we see it every day. You don't hear too much of black cops being protected by the government, by the system. That cop in Colorado killed that white woman, they got him. That black man. White cops, man, they always got a chance of getting off. But a black cop, you don't see that happening with black cops too much. So, you know, these things, these I'm going to say these tactics that they've used, they've utilized government, they've utilized law to perpetrate their racism, to perpetrate their oppression. And with that being said, that's the reason why we will always have to understand that. Now, remember, we have an Innocence Project. We have people breaking records every year being released from prison for crimes they didn't commit. Toya brought it up earlier, and I put it in the text. Those people are getting out, and they look like us.
Yes. Wow, that's good. Leonard said, second comment is, I prefer color TV over black and white. But he said something above that. He said, traffic laws weren't created to get black people. They were created for those that would violate it. Does that make any sense? Does that make sense to anyone on this show? Curtis, what's on your heart, brother?
But only the black people getting stopped. That's the point we're trying to come to. Everybody's speeding. Black folks, white folks, Chinese folks, Mexican folks. More black people get pulled over for breaking these laws more than the others is what we're trying to say. Some of the black people aren't even breaking the law. They're just being picked because they're brown, and then other things escalate. But let's talk about, what about Black Wall Street? The whole Black Wall Street was breaking the law. That's why the law, that wasn't the law. They went in there and burned that place down. It was the law and some non-law. It's not a joke. See, at this point, Leonard, I love you, and you're just saying stuff to get a rise out of people. You're not for real. You're not for real.
Wow.
Can't be. Because when we look at it, statistically, this is written down in black and white. And we see it before our eyes on TV in color. Look at George Floyd and the countless other ones that was running and got shot in the back, in the throat, in the front, in the side, and the top. All they have to say is they did it and we're going to jail. All they have to say is, he's got a gun, and he ain't got no gun, and then we dead. And then they be like, why you do that? Oh, I thought he had a gun. Come on, stop. We know what we talk about. Let me tell you something. That story sounds like the mama who knows that the daughter or the child getting molested, and you just gonna keep on acting like you don't know nothing going on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like Ike, when Tina was dying on the bed covering him, and he gonna come and say, if you die, I'm gonna kill you. Like he ain't the one that helped her get there. This is an abuser's mentality. And you're right. Black people remind me on how I was when I was a kid and I got abused. But then grown-ups keep telling me why I should be good. And I'm like, you don't know. I know that y'all some scoundrels. So I started to act out and do stupid stuff. That was the devil. And that's kind of like what black folks doing. For 20 years, we was trying to be reputable, upstanding citizens, doing whatever. And it was just, it was bananas. I mean, it was bananas what they did to us. Come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
So now here we come in the 80s, 90s. I guess that's my era. We grew up like, forget all that. No human, not a parent, not a boyfriend, not a government is going to be able to do me like that. You ain't going to be able to just come kill us like that. And on top of that, we've adopted some detrimental ways about us and how we express it. But again, that's why we need to be told about God, man. Because if you haven't been in the mix of that kind of anger that we go through out here in the hood, the remnants of what black people done went through, the seeing our parents lost hope, seeing our grandparents lost hope, seeing our grandparents scared of white folks. You can do everything else, tell me everything else. As soon as the white person roll up, you, hey, y'all hide. Man, come on, man. That's heartbreaking to see young.
Mm-hmm.
You just told me I can be anything, do anything. I got all this freedom. And then now here I come kid in junior high, and I see the real truth.
Mm-hmm.
And since, you know what? Since I ain't got no win, well, let me just go over here. Hell, I sell drugs to my own people, and I rape my own folks, and I kill my own folks. That's the only people I deal with. So when you do something, I'm gonna take my anger out on people right here.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man, stop.
Good deal. Let me read. Leonard said some more things here. He said, I don't care about being on a particular side. I don't think of myself as a criminal. I don't. Y'all seem to believe that all blacks should agree on your personal opinions. Curtis, you wanted to say something?
Opinions?
Hold on, Toya. Hold on, Toya. Curtis, what's on your heart, brother?
No, I don't. Right here.
Talking to the phone so I can hear you, brother.
I mean, in a literal sense, right? In a literal sense,
mm-hmm.
Brother Leonard is right. In a literal sense.
Mm-hmm.
But in a sense of reality, my dear brother is dead wrong. Because the argument that he's putting forth is an argument that one, racist white America has made for years. Two, how can I put this? Corrupt Republican politics has made for years. Three, corrupt politics, period. Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, whatever your affiliation is, has made for years. And that argument is this: if you don't want to be locked up, don't do the crime. That is completely without evaluating the fact that let's just keep it a buck 50.
Mm-hmm.
If we went through the prison system and seen and realistically did an honest and true evaluation about people who are locked up who have not committed the crime, you would probably find that 40% of those who are incarcerated for extensive amounts of time did not commit the crime. I can give you a list of names throughout history. One that will always set high on my mark is there was a guy by the name of Eric Jackson out of New York. He used to work for the mob. He used to do arson work for the mob. They locked him up, came in his house, locked him up, sent him to prison on an arson. The man had four people who said that at the time that this fire was set,
They saw him, not only seen him with their eyes, they gave time, dates, and places where they seen him at, which was almost 10 to 15 miles away from where the arson had happened. His wife, who was laying in bed with him, said he hadn't left the bed at all because he had been drinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they still sentenced him to the crime. I think what the brother is missing is that we're not talking, realistically, we're not even talking about it being black crime. We ain't talking about that. We're talking about the way that the crime is, the way that laws are applied. The way that laws are applied, he is right in saying that the law is created to provide some type of consequences to the community. That is true. That has nothing to do with how that law is applied to you, Raheem, how that is applied to, for example, our main man, what's his name, normally be on the show? Oh God, the Indian kid.
Badger. Badger.
What's his name?
Badger.
So that law would be applied differently, just solely off of the way that the two of you all look.
Mm-hmm.
That is a proven fact. That's not fiction. And when people say, "Well, if you don't want to go to jail, don't do the crime," to me, that is an easy cop out. Because what happens is you're not talking about, or we're not fighting for the fact that, okay, look, if my son broke the law, yes, send him to jail. But if the law say that this is first offense, he can only get 1 to 7 years. And it's a white dude over here that he break the law, he doing the same thing. And here it is, my son get 15 years, but the law say that he only supposed to get 1 to 7, but this white dude over here only gets 7. We should have a problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So
mm-hmm.
I get what he's saying, and from a literal sense, he is correct. But from a sense of reality, no, he is far off the beating path.
Mm-hmm. Let me read something.
Far off the beating path.
Let me read something else that Leonard put up here. He said, let me see. He got 2 things actually. I'm gonna read the first one first. Crime ain't black. The conversation was not about racism at all. It was about crime. And the second part, it says the conversation was excluding racism. VP, what's on your heart, brother?
If you, oh Lord have mercy, Lord, what's going on with Leonard this morning?
Man, we hear you, brother.
I could see where, because I don't want to make an attack on Leonard, because he's almost playing devil's advocate to enhance the conversation. But the laws are supposed to be on level ground. However, the perception and the subconscious belief of society bends that
VP,
and that's what we're talking about.
VP, Leonard said, yeah, no, I can hear you. I'm just gonna input this, but why you go? Leonard said, attack me. Leonard said, attack me. He said, I don't care about they'll attack me. So I just wanted, he said that, but go ahead.
No, because they don't attack the person. What God say to him, get behind me, Satan. No, because it's not about the person. It's about the law. This is about the principle and the purpose that we're going with this conversation. A lot of times we've watched over the last decade of, well, if he complied, it wouldn't have happened. If he had just listened to the law and complied, it wouldn't have happened. George Floyd couldn't move. Eric Garner was being choked. He couldn't move. Just recently, a man in North Carolina where they have open carry laws let the police know he had one. The police told him to put it on the ground, which he shouldn't have because it's a law to have. That means you should trust this man with this pistol on his hip, the same way that you're walking around with that pistol on yours.
Mm-hmm.
And as he was complying, he shot and killed this man. So arguing that the law is flatline, this isn't about race, but what we're seeing is it is about race, because we had a group, a regiment of white men
with AR-15s walking down their street, and the police were just watching the parade. The ones at Stone Mountain barely got by. It would have took one person coming out there to be a rebel, popping one in the air, and it would have been a slaughter. Because they wouldn't have looked at them the same way. Because the mindsets of the people who are enforcing the laws have a perception that these people are criminals regardless of what's happening. So we're not arguing that the laws aren't about black or white, but just like it was brought up earlier, if you're driving down if you're in the wrong community, and the law says anybody should be able to live in that community, and we've seen that here recently, and even with Trayvon Martin, you don't belong here. Says who? The law says that my dad lives in the community down the road. Why are you bothering me about it? If the law was so flat ground, we wouldn't be arguing these points. We wouldn't have this.
Mm-hmm.
The same back to what Toya was saying, and I was saying earlier, when that the cocaine cowboys came through, and they're releasing all these people from jail, and we got all these people coming from Vietnam who can't find jobs, and they flooded our neighborhoods with coke. And the people that were starting to be worshipped are the ones who don't have a job, the ones who can't get nothing going with their lives, the criminals. So they painted this picture in our heads that that's the way it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because they couldn't get out there and vote, and they couldn't get out there and do nothing different. And they were tearing up the communities, snatching up fathers from mothers and child.
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood has destroyed the image for what law looked like being level. I would say with Boys in the Hood, Minister Society, but we were just trying to tell the story of what it looks like in our hood, in our neighborhood. I hate to say hood, in our neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
They ran with that. And if you watch Law and Order, SVU, and all these stuff, most of the criminals are black.
Mm-hmm.
So when people go out and they just see regular people, regular black Americans or African Americans, or people are minorities, because now Mexicans are getting it, and people from the Middle East are getting it. And the only image they ever see is a hateful image. It doesn't matter what law is on there on the street, because they're already the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Like what Toya was saying, if you don't get God in you, where you can get a perspective of what humans are in general, then you always had a perception, and you always have a perception as well. If you just complied, then it worked, because TV and what you read makes you that way. But God gave you a heart to discern what the real matter is.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's good. And let me see. We got I'm gonna read a couple of more things that that was put across the screen. What Leonard said here. He said that's it. Let me go back up here. This is the next one. It was about the right of it was about the right to vote being taken away. This is the second thing they said. This is exactly why we are trying to get blacks to vote. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches that he stop right there. And the next thing they said is, forget it, Raheen, I messed up. I don't know what that means. He's probably gonna type something else after that to explain what he mean about forget it, Raheen, I messed up. But we have with us, I think we have Brother Pete with us. Pete, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, sir. DKM radio panel, listening audience. How we doing this morning?
Hey, doing good, doing good. I got a question for you, and I want to hear your heart on this right here. We're talking about right now, if a person committed a felony, did their time, paid their debt to society, came out and paid their retribution, because like I said in the beginning, they always have to have always got to get their money. Should they have the right to vote? Should they have the right to vote? That's the first part of the question. And the second part of the question, if they are felons and if they're felonies, if they have felonies on their record, were our forefathers also felons, and would they have the right to vote?
What was the second part? I missed it. I didn't catch the second part.
Were our
forefathers also?
Yeah, quote unquote, were our quote unquote forefathers, were they felons as well? Because they didn't come over here to America on the best terms. You know, they didn't. You know, if you look at the history, if you know the history about how where they came from and why they came here, were they also felons, and would they be able to vote in this what we're talking about today?
Now, when you say our forefathers,
I'm talking about,
clarify who our forefathers
well, I'm
are.
I'm talking about the people that came over from the start to quote unquote to start America. That was kicked out of their own nation to come over here to start. You know,
George Washington and
all them cats, all them cats.
Or his forefathers. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Clear it up for me, brother. Clear it up for me.
If a person is charged with a crime and they have served their time and there was any, you know, financial restitution or whatever, some service had to be done, they satisfied all them requirements, then they paid their debt to society. It doesn't make any sense that they don't have the right to participate in the whole society. And to be honest with you, even if a person has committed a felony, it really doesn't make sense to take away their right to steer or be involved in the steering in the direction and the overall operation of that society. That doesn't make sense because it still affects them. So that's a narrative that should have been questioned from the beginning. The servitude clause, only when you're in the penitentiary is sanctioning slavery. It's actually a lawsuit on that right now in all states, in the Fed against all the states, questioning that because you're sanctioning disapproved and removed slavery, and it's a violation technically because it still allows slavery in principle. So that's a problem. You asked were the forefathers felons themselves?
Yes.
Well, you know, they say that in law that law can be subject to interpretation. Okay?
Yes.
So the law says this, but we can come away with two different concepts of what it says because the law can be subject to interpretation. So that is something that can be subject to interpretation as well. But I'm gonna say it like this, and you know we've had these conversations before. We can play the tapes back. If you want to own something, run something, control something, then what does that look like? And that's what we have. Now, we too often major in the minors as a collective. As a whole, we major in the minors. We're not willing to just look at things the way they are. You can't have a structured system of law that is not equally applied and then call it law. So the whole structure of the law system in principle and in effect right now in this country is unjust just by the very nature of how they apply it and enforce it. It qualifies itself to be disqualified as law. This is just the reality of what it is, okay? Because of how it operates. When you're looking at a society of a people who come to a land and want to take it and control it, utilize all the resources, seize the landmass, own everything, operate everything, and put everyone else that's not like them in subjection to them in different ways and means, what you're experiencing is what that looks like. So now the reality for you is, what do you do in response? When you really come to yourself and understand, you only deal with it because you accept it. You only deal with it because you're not willing to do what you need to do, have to do, must be done to not experience what you're experiencing.
Let me read.
That's it. That's what it is. Listen, and I'm not knocking nobody's faith or nothing, but I'm just saying let's just be natural with it. We play around too much. We come with every possible excuse. As soon as you start having this level of conversation, our people are going to run to Jesus, run to Allah, run to some other form of an excuse to not do what you need to do.
Let me read.
Just face it. Listen.
hold on,
They
Pete.
out here unjustly killing you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I hope.
Oh, no, let me say this. No, I want you to finish. But I want to read what Leonard, because he was saying something in response to what you were saying. So I'm going to interject it in what it is. He said there's a huge fight to repeal the 13th Amendment. Next, secondly, he said more people need to get involved in that fight. Thirdly, he said that's why we fight for equal justice. Pete is explaining from the national point of view.
Exactly. That's what I'm attempting to, my brother.
Mm-hmm.
Peace and love to you, bro. Do what you need to do to come on back 100.
Absolutely.
Like the $6 million man, faster and stronger and even better than before.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Praying for you. Love you, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not knocking the belief system. What I'm saying is just start looking at stuff like it is. When you look at the laws, the Supreme Court has made rulings on when you're moving around in your private car. You don't have to have a license. You don't have to have insurance. You don't even have to have a license plate. I didn't make this up.
Mm-hmm.
Look it up. They said you don't have to do it. But the states say you have to have a license. You have to have a license plate. You have to have your car registered. You have to have insurance. Now, wait a minute. The Fed said one thing. Now the state is saying something else. It's two different authorities linked somewhat together, but then they operating differently on different wavelengths, and then you got to go through a whole set of issues and changes and processes in order to get to the factual truth of what is actually established with the full authority over all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Why? If you have a system of law. It should be simple. If it's a law, it's a law.
Mm-hmm.
So it's these levels of nonsense, confusion, infractions, and it's all about money. It's all about control. It's really all about money first, and then it's about control. But we tolerate it, just like the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
If enough of us say, you know what, that's dead wrong, we're not accepting that. Okay, what you gonna do?
Mm-hmm. Good deal. Let me pull some more people into the conversation.
The people are more powerful than the people in power.
Okay, hold right there, Pete.
Stop being a punk. Stop being scared.
Okay, Pete, hold right there. Let me pull some more people toward you. Want to see what's on your heart?
Yeah, no, good stuff. He just put there. That's that. I mean, I can't say nothing behind that.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. We're talking about the reality that we see on a daily basis. You know, the reality that we live in. And even if it hasn't happened to me or a family member of mine, I see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I see it.
That's good.
You know, and this very thin line that we cannot cross as Black people. We can't be human. We can't relax. We can't. And not for nothing, okay, after you get up probation, after you're done with your time, there's supposed to be reinstated for you, you know, but it's a process that you have to do yourself. 9 times out of 10, a regular person don't understand and know the process, or you know a felon who came out can't. And just because you go to jail a felon don't mean you ain't got no sense, because I was a smart girl in jail.
Mm-hmm.
I was a smart bad girl. You know what I'm saying? But still, the process can be lengthy and frustrating and unknown. You know, they don't just restore to you. But right along with some other things, this is one thing I want to say about the government. While the free folk walking around not understanding that they free slaves, prisoners, the same things that they hide from the felons that they hide from us right in front of our face. They got money for us, just regular free everyday citizens, and laws and things that can help us that we don't know about, and they keep under the covers and under the hush-hush. You know what I'm saying? But this is what you do to get in control. Okay, Nino Brown from New Jack City, ain't this what he did?
Mm-hmm.
That's what you do when you conquer.
Yeah.
You got to be the meanest and nastiest. And you can have a good heart. Oh, I care about old people. Oh, I care about kids. Oh, I care about this. But when I decide to determine to be the one agenda, this is what I want to do, I got to get it done. And anybody can get it.
Mm-hmm. And yes, we're taking over the Carter. And yes, we're taking over the Carter. Absolutely.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this is what we have to remember. And this is the savagery that we're living in. And yes, even though most of us get into trouble because we're forced to, again, I say, I don't agree with the drug dealer, because there are other ways, but I've been through it in other ways where it's hard for them to get a job, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just we're not doing enough to make sure that they don't have to be a criminal the way we're making sure that they don't have enough to be one. All of this is like a process we want to keep hopping around. But at the end of the day, I got to say this. Each individual, I don't operate under them laws. I don't know what they do because God is my father. And even when I get in trouble, He's going to avenge me because He know my heart. And He knows that I'm out here sincerely trying to help my family or whoever else. And any weapon that formed against me, it ain't going to prosper. Even if it locked me up for a couple of years, I'm still going to be free in His name because I'm not walking around to be a savage. So, and this is what we need to understand. We know that it ain't going to work. Stop operating under their law. Get saved, get with the Lord, operate under God's law, and we the ones to save our community. They've been like that.
Good deal. Good deal. Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
I think one thing has to be understood and very clear. Black people don't like crime either. Sometimes people are pushed in a position where they start committing crime, but for the most part, we want crime to stop. We don't want people stealing from us, stealing from our neighbors, killing people in our neighborhood. We want the police to stop crime and protect us too. But what we don't want is to be pulled over for driving while black. It exists. This is not an opinion, it's a fact. So I'm gonna answer that question again and then go back because I when I first called in, I was expecting to answer that question about the voting rights thing. You know what I'm saying? And then you asked the question that he said, so I addressed that part about why black people go in that direction. I didn't know what the conversation was like before then, but I just gave that reason. It was just really a plain and simple. When you see an overabundance of black people just always making issues when it comes to law and crime and this and that about black people, that atmosphere wasn't created by black people. The atmosphere was created by the conditions that were going on. That was unfair treatment, unequal justice, bias, driving while black. That was oppression. It was so many different. It was because of people that abused government in the judicial system. I was just reading earlier before I got online about how Hoover issued a directive about preventing a black messiah. He couldn't do that from his home being a pipe layer or iron pourer. He did that from the top seat of the FBI. Issued a directive throughout the FBI that there had to be an agenda to stop the next black messiah, and then he went and named them. They went on a killing spree to kill Fred Hampton. It's been proven. They used the government, and they did not target Chinese. That wasn't. Martin Luther King wasn't a Chinese person. Malcolm X wasn't British.
Yeah, come on.
You get what I'm saying? So it gets to a point to where, yes, when we talk about crime, we would like to look at it from the perspective of the American dream, the American way. It's 2021, and everything is equal. But every day we're reminded somehow by Oscar Grant shooting, by Rodney King beat down. And when the Chinese man, that was somebody like me and you.
Yep.
That was out there getting whooped with a broken leg by 7 cops. And they had him way under control. And so many more instances. Well, we just can't ignore that, because for us to ignore that, or for us to not address it from our point of view, because we don't want that to happen to our children, then we would leave that situation vulnerable to happen again. We would leave our children vulnerable to that happening to them if we didn't make it an issue. So black people have to speak on behalf of things that pertain to us, because we want to be safe also. We don't want to be targeted. We don't want the government system to be abused and utilized just because it can be, and then it be used for leniency for the next person. We see the unfair sentence. We see people getting sentenced for the same crime, but one person having a much less sentence and then another one having a larger sentence. We see it all the time.
Rico, let me ask you, if and dealing with the situation with our quote unquote forefathers, if the system was just,
well,
I just, for the sake of conversation, for the sake of conversation, I said that.
See, like what you said just then, that need to be a point made.
See how you embrace that American forefather and that propaganda and the way it's been taught? That's the way Leonard is looking at crime and law and justice. But on the other side, as a black person, that ain't your forefather, because he wouldn't he wouldn't label a forefather for your benefit. You know, so when you start talking about laws and rights, it was the same thing. So now you have to look at it from a different perspective. Same way with laws and crime, because you know they will be applied to you differently. But go ahead and finish.
You see what Leonard said right there, right?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, good deal. Good deal.
I'm trying to understand where he's coming from when he said don't speak for him. You know what I'm saying? I'm going by what you was reading. But anyway, the point I wanted to make was, like I said, the voters' rights, if you really think about it, it is unfair that they take rights away from felons. Now, the forefathers, true enough, they weren't convicted felons, but they committed felonious acts.
Yes, absolutely.
But they weren't convicted felons based on their judicial system. So they wasn't felons based on the word. But at the same time, just in today's perspective, it's sort of crazy to me that you would tell a person that they don't have a right to vote or a right to bear arms. I mean, because I'm a felon, or anybody might be a felon. I'm just using that as as an example. If I was a felon, I still would have the right to protect my family. If I was a felon, I should still have a right to vote for the people that's going to represent my best interest. Even if I have paid, especially if I paid my due to society, I should have an automatic right. I shouldn't have to go back and apply for these human rights. These are supposed to be human rights, and they shouldn't take those human rights away from me to protect my family, to bear arms. You know, maybe if I was committing crimes with weapons a lot, I would understand. But if I just committed a check writing fraud or something like that, I'll take my right to protect my family.
Exactly. Let me go to Curtis. I'm gonna put this on the screen, Rico, and we're gonna go to Curtis though. Leonard said that has nothing to do with what I believe, and then after that he said, they were not my forefathers. Kurt, what's on your heart, brother? Kurt, you there?
Yeah, I'm right here, man.
Talk to me.
I'm trying to figure out where Leonard coming from, man.
Talking to your phone, brother. You're a little bit low.
I said I'm trying to figure out where Leonard coming from, man. Because Leonard know the truth. He know it. Like, I'm trying to figure out what point is he arguing, because I know that brother know. If anybody on this panel know, he know. It bothers me that we as Black folk refuse to accept the dichotomy set forward before us, that we are being mistreated and treated differently. That bothers me, man. Like, I don't know why we keep trying to fight this fight like we are being treated the same, from the angle of we are being treated the same as other folk. We're not. That is the biggest lie told since Jesus Christ was a Black man. We are not being treated equally. Let's just call a spade, man. We ain't got to hide from it. We ain't got to run from it. It's what I like to call an inconvenient truth. Some Toya said that made me think about the meeting. You know, for years I've been playing Dr. King in the meeting, but the first time I ever actually did the whole entire play the meeting, I was Malcolm X. And Malcolm says to King in the meeting, he says to King something to the reference of, and I could be off a little bit because it's been a long time since I played the role, but he said something to King in reference to the fact of this. He said, they stack people on top of people up here, doctor. Stack Black folk on top of Black folk until you can't breathe, until you can't move. And once you cannot breathe and you cannot move, you will strike out. And you will strike back at anybody that is close to you. You marching around here saying we shall overcome, while we got people sitting in our streets with their heads split wide open. It's the anger, Martin. It's the anger that makes people want to strike back. And I thought about what Toya said. When Toya said, you know, in so many words, and I could be wrong. T, if I'm wrong, please correct me. But what Toya said is, if you continuously and consistently put people in a position where they feel like they are less than a citizen of a given society and or culture, they will do two things. They will either strike at each other or they will strike at you for just the idea of being able to be counted as one of the whole. So I don't understand this. I think about, he got me thinking about the fact that Annie Merle, my grandmama's name was Annie Merle Sneed. My other grandmother's name was Minnie Lee Underwood. Both of them suffered from the same exact thing. The only difference was one didn't let the traumatic experience scare her away from home. The other one did. Both of them suffered from these white raiders burning down and or burning crosses on their properties in the South. One was from Bibb County, from Macon, Georgia, Rennes, Georgia, that area there. The other one was from right there in Dunn, North Carolina. My grandmother, Annie Merle, refused to move back to North Carolina, where she had a house, land, the whole night. She refused to move back because she believed that you couldn't see him at night.
Mm-hmm.
And when asked, well, what you mean you can't see him at night, Mama? You know them boys in the black hoods. She didn't say the boys in the white hoods. She said the boys in the black hoods, right?
Mm-hmm.
That gives you a time frame.
Yeah.
The black came right after the burlap sack, brother.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother that was from Georgia, all the way up until my great-grandfather died, they were writing laws, local laws, to try and take his land. They tried to burn him out. They tried to shoot him out. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't do that on the white side of town. I'm sorry. I just, it don't bother me. Black folk, Mexican folk, Asian folk, when will we realize, man, that there's two set of laws written for each law?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's
Good deal.
set, bro.
Absolutely.
It ain't no way around that.
Okay. Let me put this up on the screen. Rico, read that for me, brother. This is Leonard.
Most people don't want a solution, they want an excuse. If I can play the race card, most people will. However, that's not the best way to live, in my opinion. I understand other opinions.
It stopped right there. Mm-hmm. Oh. Okay. Let me go to Tucson. Tucson, what's on your heart, brother? Dawn, are you there?
Yeah, I was wrestling with my mute button.
Oh, okay, good deal. Pete, come to you next.
Okay, so one thing Pete said is that is that when we can't figure it out. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, very clear.
We run to our spiritual belief, religious belief. Well, guess what? They manipulated that too. And people don't study. Mm-hmm. People don't read. They don't research. They don't find out. It's just like they try to rationalize. That's not even a word. I don't think it is. I don't know what it is. Rationalize.
Mm-hmm.
No. Not rationalize.
Okay.
Rationalize.
Okay.
Racialize.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Racialize Jesus. When God is a spirit, and they okay. Anyway, he came here and he looked like somebody. But when it really came down to it, they made him look like somebody to manipulate the worship experience. But no, stop it. You don't worship what you want. You worship what, here's my son. You worship him. And that came from the Pope. I'm sorry. So, if you don't read and study, your worship is in vain.
Come on.
Your praise, the one that you lift up and you pray to, your prayer ain't amiss. So when we are in this system of manipulation, we follow after and we teach our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren and our mom and our dad and our grandparents and our great-grandparents have been doing something that is absolutely insane. And then we say, I'm just going to follow after the law. And that's manipulated too. And because the law comes from Scripture. It's supposed to be the laws of God, but they manipulate it. They put theirs in it. They add to it. They misinterpret it, and they make it seem like, okay, you mean to tell me if I make an indent into a ground, I'm working? So you try to make Sabbath a Sunday. It's not. It's Saturday. I understand all of that. But when you don't understand the clear picture, you don't reverence one day above another. So what? You tell me what I can't eat when I pray for it. We try to put each other and God in a box when he's not in there. We seek man's approval when we're supposed to be seeking God's. He's the lawgiver. Because man is corrupt in everything he do.
Yes, sir.
So when you say what's on my mind, you don't have enough time.
Wow. That's good. That's good. Got another caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Good morning. This is Bishop.
Bishop, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Man, I'm doing pretty good.
You been listening in to us?
Yeah, I've been listening a little bit.
Okay, what's on your heart? If a man, if a person, I say a man.
I've been listening don't mean I know the topic what you're talking about. I
okay,
I listened to Pete. I read when you read what Leonard had to say, and then I stepped away. So
well, let me throw a question at you.
Bring me up to speed.
Let me throw a question at you. If a person committed a felony, and male or female committed a felony, and they did their time, paid their retribution because they got to get their money, should they be allowed to vote? What do you say to that?
Yeah. If you've already, paid the cause of the penalty in which you committed, yeah, you should be allowed to vote. And to come to popular belief, and some would think, assume, if you're no longer having to respond to a parole officer, you're at that point you are able to vote because you have completely served your term.
Okay, that's good. Watch this. Pete, are you back with us? Pete, you with us? Now, I said this earlier. I said this early in the conversation. Me and VP, we spoke about this as well. If you tell an individual that they cannot vote because they committed a felony, and their comeback from that is okay. That's fine. I don't want to vote. I don't need to vote. But I also don't want to pay taxes. What kind of backlash do you think that will be? If they say, if I can't vote, you can't just take away one line. You have to take away all of it. If I can't vote, then I can't pay taxes either. Are they? What kind of? I will ask another question. But what kind of backlash would that create?
Well, it would probably create a nice degree of backlash, depending on your intelligence and your knowledge on the subject. To give you a clarification lawfully and legally and factually, you don't have to pay taxes right now. But you have to figure that out. I'm going to give you another clue. Reparations is written in the process. We don't know what to read, and we're not reading enough. I'm going to say that too. Oh, yeah. But let me answer your first question. Would they have been felons? In order for them to come here and have been considered felons, there would have had to have been a structured system of law, the ability to enforce it, the ability to say that their actions were untoward and violated these pre-established rules, regulations, process, and procedures, and then hold them accountable. If that was the case, then certainly they would have been considered doing something wrong, and possibly if it was classified as a felony. Now, you and a million men that look like you say today, y'all gonna take the state of Georgia. Would you be a felon? Would that be wrong?
And in their eyes, they would say yes. They would say yes.
Why?
Because
why would they say that?
Well, because they would say we're overtaking the government. We're doing much like January 6th was. We're doing the same thing, but we don't have that same right to do so because of the fact that we don't look like the individuals that did it on January 6th, and so we don't have that right to.
What's crazy is the majority of the Raheem.
Yes.
I hear you, brother. You dead on point. But what's crazy is the majority of them do not believe that what happened on January 6th was a crime.
Absolutely.
But
see, yes, that's true.
Of your question.
But see, that's true.
You know
but
what I mean?
But if we did that,
not only that,
it would be a crime.
You dead on point. But look, let's go. Let's draw back. Come back a little more. You said they would consider that a crime because you don't look like them. No, no, it's deeper than that. Now you trying to do what we have done. Now you trying to think and act like we do.
Yeah.
Now you're thinking that you are an equal being on this, and if anything gets in your way, you wouldn't amount a challenge to stand on your belief system up to including the ultimate.
Come on.
So you got to understand what domination is. You have to understand and articulate what domination is. It's bigger than a bully.
Yeah.
You have to understand what it is. So now, would that be considered wrong? Oh, absolutely. Right now in this structured system, that would be the ultimate invading offense, treason, all type of stuff.
Yes, sir.
And when we go back and forth, we say, well, I'm not treated like a citizen. So how can I commit treason? Citizen means you're property. Understand that. It don't mean you're free. For everybody in the back that's confused. When you say, I'm a citizen, what you're saying is, I'm an acknowledged slave and an actual piece of property to something else that exists, whether you know it or not. But this is the system in which we live. And again, we're not articulating the reality of the situation. I'm not discrediting nobody's belief systems, your sexual preference, none of that. I'm saying, look, what's the reality of the situation?
Come on.
Are you going to tolerate the stuff that's intolerable, or are you not going to tolerate it? Make up your mind.
Good deal. Good. Let me go to Rico. Toy, you with the TB on standby. Coming to you next. What's on your heart, Rico?
See, and what I'm sort of getting from that is if you want to participate in it, then you got to know how to play the game. If you really know the reality, I speak on that, and I use it probably in different words. You know what I'm saying? I speak on that when it comes to government and when it comes to money and finances. I believe that there's a way to function in this system against it, and at the same time function along with it to utilize it for your best benefit once you understand the reality of it. When you understand that people can get in places.
Proceed.
When you understand that people can get in positions of power, they can use this system to their own discretion. Even though there's a system written that everybody's supposed to abide by, each person, a judge, even a cop, can interpret it the way they want to and use it to the way they want to use it. And even some cops even manipulate people and make you think that they know the law just because they are in a position of authority. When they are in that position, what do? They use that authority to their discretion. Judges sentence people to their discretion. Yeah, it might be the same crime, but you look like you're a good guy and you come from a good family, affluenza. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, we have to acknowledge that atmosphere. I go back to what I was saying earlier. When you see Black people going back and forth and always making things about an issue of race, Oscar Grant wasn't a race card. George Floyd wasn't a race card. Alton Sterling wasn't a race card. Sandra Bland, Corrine Gaines, they weren't a race card. You know what I'm saying? And so we have to speak on their behalf because our children might be the next name in that list. And we won't be using the race card. We'll be using the atmosphere that we exist in. The reality is that we would love to live by the creed that America is built on. But every time we tried for the last 300 or 400 years, they showed us that it didn't apply to us.
Exactly.
Every time we tried, they created a new roadblock, a new obstacle. Sometimes they call them laws. You know,
they moved the goalposts on them.
VP kept on talking about marijuana earlier, how it's legal in some states and illegal in others. You know, it's quite profitable for a certain system that exists and made money off of people going to jail and a certain demographic being charged for it. So yeah, they fighting it still, even though it doesn't make sense. The reality of it is it should have never been illegal. Well, if you go back and find out why it was even made illegal and in the propaganda that they use to pass the laws to make it illegal, they pointed at people that look like me and you. It made us ravaged animals. We fiend after white women. Oh, you seen the movies that they made way back in the day, man. And it was all targeting us. So when you think about it, this atmosphere that we speak on, yeah, sometimes people do use a race card. The Olympics. They ought to let that girl run. She failed a drug test. Well, nationalistically, across the board, she broke the rules and she had to suffer the consequences. People wanted to use a race card. I did not buy that. I didn't agree with it. It ticked me off. So there are times that we do use a race card, but it's not legitimate. But other times when we bring up race, it's not always a race card. But we do have to understand that, you know, we need to put more of an emphasis on getting in these positions of power to actually start controlling or using the legislation and laws to our discretion. So maybe if we become more judges, we can make the sentencing more even the way it's supposed to be, the way it was interpreted. Maybe as cops, we can pull over people equally with no bias, the way they are supposed to do it. They can use authority and protect and serve equally. We have to find out that those positions are just as important as our successful positions that we crave so much.
Absolutely. Toya, you want to talk to me, sis? What's on your heart? Toya, you there?
Yeah, me and the mute button over here.
There you go.
No, man, no. Covered a lot of information on things we go through in Black America and the challenges that we have to adhere to, which is why we don't have the proper representation. It's just this whole topic on what we've talked about today, being seen from both sides of the coin, not involving color. It's from a humanity aspect. A certain group of people are having these challenges from another group of people. It's what we have to live by on a daily basis. And that's why we're not represented properly. We're going to have a problem having the proper representation if the person representing us doesn't thinks that we're fluffing our sentence, our crime, or what we're being accused for. You know, but who takes away rights? Parents. Wonder why they call the forefathers. I mean, I'm just saying, we got to really look at what's going on here. And this is another reason why we stay in this trouble, because the misrepresentation. Yeah, if your parent doesn't believe that you did not do that and they believe the principal instead, then you're going to be subject to whatever reign that parent is going to have.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the America that we live in.
Mm-hmm.
If the people representing us, standing up for us, our parents, our neighbors, our peers, and the people who are hired to represent us, feel like we're just coming from some fairy tale background and we're just throwing ourselves at the law and we're just, oh, you deserve it anyway, then they're not going to fight as hard, whether they're paid or unpaid.
Absolutely.
And that is a part of the justice that we're talking about.
Good deal. Good deal. Bishop, what's on your heart, Bishop?
Well, I tell you, y'all got a good conversation going, and some information is being put out there. I was going back to some of the people saying, and we were talking about this country that we live in, and how in the world, you brought up January the 6th. My mind went back to the Boston Tea Party. When they took that tea and threw it into the harbor because of their rebellion or their revolting. And so sometimes you send a message, but we as blacks, so the question that you had asked, that 1,000 people go to the Capitol and we try to take over, then we're classified as being barbaric in our actions. And that's based on the color of our skin.
Yes, sir. Solely.
They're imposed, as one representative said, it was just a peaceful planet. I don't know what he considered peace to be. So, we fight the fight, and we're going to continue to fight the fight until we die. Like that.
Yeah, exactly. VP, talk to me, brother. What's on your heart? VP, you there?
I think come back around when his wife started talking to me.
Oh, okay. You say come back around to you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good deal. Pete, talk to me, brother.
Justice is the prevention of injustice. Right? So when justice occurs, injustice occurs. What is justice? When the damage has been done, how do you repair it? When it's extreme, there's no reverse on loss of life. There may be no return in the valuable things that have been stolen, taken from you. You can't get years back when you've been incarcerated for 20, 30, 40, 50 years for something you didn't do. And then you 10 minutes away from expiring, we let you out and say, oh, we're so sorry, we were wrong. But yet the orchestrators of this injustice, this harm, these infractions, these injuries, what happens? Nothing. And then they throw some fiat, make-believe, monopoly, cartoon, Snoop Dogg money at you. And think that that's supposed to satisfy the damage that has been done. But you accept that. You accept that. See, it comes down to either you're going to make up your mind to accept the foolishness and deal with it, or you're going to have to make up your mind that I'm not going to tolerate this foolishness no more. That's it. That's it. Use your faith to empower your position. Use your strength to gain more ground in your determination. But all this pontificating and, mental masturbating and outright just playing, procrastinating, playing scared, trying to figure it out. How you going to get anybody to operate in the present system the way it operates and expect the system to change? It's not.
Yeah.
You can elect Jesus, Muhammad, Confucius, Buddha, and all of them. Drew Ali, every prophet you ever heard of in the world. You can elect them to lead this country, and the system doesn't change. The function of it is not going to change.
That's good.
Period.
Absolutely. Rico, talk to me, brother.
I'm going back to what Pete was talking about. I said this earlier, we have movies about people being free for crimes they didn't commit after being on death row. I guess it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. This district attorney or this prosecutor and a cop came to this man and apologized for knowingly convicting him. And he didn't commit a murder after all these years. But guess what? By the time they released him, he probably only lived 3 weeks because he was dying of terminal cancer. So he got a double whammy. He sat in prison for over 30-something years, if I'm not mistaken, knowing he didn't commit a crime, and with this cop and this prosecutor living their best life. And then they wait till they get old to go ahead and admit that they convicted this man. You see, like what Pete was saying, what do you supposed to do, or what are you supposed to do when the justice system is used to create injustice? Well, you know now that when that system is used to target people that look like you got to make that an issue that you start fighting against. And when you start realizing that that issue was systemic and it's been going on for decades before you even existed, before anybody even realized you were going to even be born into this world, other people were going through the same issue, living in a delusion that everything was cool. I'm in America. We have rights. I got the right to do this. I got the right to do that. Then all of a sudden, having your right violated and nobody doing anything about it, or you just being picked up for a crime you didn't commit because they mad that you're not spending money. Or some woman wanted to say that you raped her because she got caught cheating on her husband. And I mean, just so many different ways people went to prison, went to jail, and then mobs of people that didn't look like us went and broke you out of jail and had street justice. The law didn't apply to you. Not even the people that upheld the law prevented that. Some of the people that upheld the law joined in, judges, sheriffs, took law into their own hand with no repercussions. Affluenza. Affluenza been going on so long that atmosphere, that thing that has been created that we didn't create, that atmosphere, that science, that behavior, we have to acknowledge that. And and when we do bring it up, it's not playing the race card. It's just a fact of life. It's the reality.
Exactly. Kurt, I'll bring us something, brother. Give us something, Kurt. What's on your heart? Kurt, you there?
What's on my heart?
Yes, sir. Talk to me.
I'm right here. I had to process what everybody's saying, man. Because what's on my heart, man? I've been saying it for a while. Like honestly, you know what I mean? Like everybody is just taking this thing out the park. But I'm still battling with the fact that not only is one of my brothers, but just a human being can't fully see that the law that certain laws only apply to certain people. That we have a segment in society that is incapable of recognizing the unfairness of the criminal justice system. That bothers me. It bothers me almost to a degree where it makes me feel like we have a Candace Owen as a representative of Black thought. And I'm sorry that she does not represent the majority of Black thought. What she represents is the majority of Black thought who have stepped and fetched. And it's not to say that my brother is off the beaten path, because I know this brother. I know this brother is man, it's just the sharpest brother I've ever met in my life. One of the sharpest anyway. But I'm trying to understand where he coming from. Because in a literal sense, just saying literally, okay, yeah, that is true. But is it literally being is it being applied literally? Because if it was being applied literally from a scale of black and white, and I'm not talking about skin tone here, I'm saying realistically, you know how they say some people see black, some people see white, some people see gray, right? If it was in literal reality being applied that way, it would either be black or white. This is the law. This is against the law. This is not against the law, right? But every representation of law in America that we see as a people is gray. It's gray. And for us to deny that, or for us to extrapolate parts of what's going on to prove a point, is childish and feeble-minded. Because what we're doing is we're perpetuating a long-lasting lie that has completely destroyed our entire culture, our race, our community, and our understanding thereof. I don't have nothing else to say, Ryan. I'm so baffled right now. I'm so lost right now that I really don't have a clue how to say what I want to say without being emotionally involved.
Okay. Hold right there. Let's stop right there, man. We're going to keep the scene. VP, are you ready?
Daddy? Yep. Is this a flyer? No, let him keep going. I want to see where he's going with this.
No.
I'm good.
No. He said he said he was done right there. He said he was done right there. Let me see. Rico, talk to me, brother. We got 3 minutes.
I have more that I could say. I heard Bishop talk about the Boston Tea Party.
Well, Kurt, look at
dead on point.
Well, let me say this, Kurt. We got 3 minutes, man. I want to bring some more people in before we get out of here. We want to get 3 minutes before.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
Well, to me, it gets to a point to where you there's only so many points and facts that you can present, and you just have to let people stay in whatever opinion that they have. Everybody does have opinions. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he had his opinion, and he has to understand we have ours. Most of these statements we made were our opinions based on facts, based on the fact that we know that people have utilized the system unjustly, the judicial system, to use to fuel their racist agenda. George Steiner, he was 12 years old when they electrocuted him for a crime he didn't commit. They say he killed or raped some little white girls or something like that. Matter of fact, I'm gonna look at it real fast. He was no more than 15 years old. And the judicial system found it fit to go along with the narrative that was made up about this little boy. And the judicial system found it fit to put him to death. State, government. We have the man I just mentioned, Glenn Ford, convicted of a murder, spent 29 years in prison. Then finally get released after they realized that he didn't do the crime. And then they still come back and say that he didn't even deserve $250,000 compensation. Then he find out 2 months later that he has lung cancer and he dies like that. Life just taken from him because of people in position to use the law to their discretion unjustly.
Good deal.
And for some reason, we are overwhelmingly the victims the victims of that. So I think it's fit for us to have a right to look at if there is a race issue in any issue brought up. We should always be suspicious. I wonder if this has some kind of racial agenda or angle to it. Even if we don't see it, even if it's not spoken, we might need to wonder and guess or look at it.
Okay, hold right there, Rico. I want to pull some more people in now. We only got a minute, less than a minute. So everybody, give me a quick version. Bishop, what's on your heart?
Man, I'm listening, man. Some stuff's being said, and so when Rico was just said, my mind went to running because someone reached out to me yesterday to see if I can help this person that has been incarcerated for 23 years. But he didn't know nothing about what was going on. Him and some friends riding. They said, "Hey man, stop." And they went to rob somebody. But because he was driving, they got him with accessory. Now all the guys that were with him, they've already been released from prison. The last one was in 2020, but he's still in prison. And they say, I mean, he didn't know nothing about it. So he was not the main architect of the crime that was committed. He was not even privy or knowledgeable that the guys that were with him that he picked up were going to do what they did. But now he's been in prison 23 years. The law is supposed to be made for the lawless. But because you are a person of color, the penalties are completely different. And therefore you're bound to serve, because I think Pete said, we're not even third-rate citizens. And we're still looked at as property. And the value of our life is not even equate or equal to that of someone of a different nationality, particularly white. But this is what we live in this country. There is not liberty and there is no justice for all. There's injustice for black and liberty for white.
Wow. Pete, quick version, brother. Quick version.
Fight to power.
Wow, that's good.
I got the fist up in the air right now.
Man, how the word Toy you gonna hang up and I'm ready to come to her? Toy, you want to see how you gonna hang up? Let me see. Who?
Hey, Raheem.
Yes, sir.
Raheem, let me say this real quick and I'm done. When everybody get a chance, if y'all get a chance, sit down on your go on your YouTube, right, and look up an old film. I want to say from 1971. It's called The Network, and there's a monologue in there that says, "I want you to be angry," or just type in, "I want you to be angry" monologue from the movie The Network, and listen to that monologue. It is one of the most powerful monologues I have ever in my life witnessed and or heard, but it speaks specifically to what we talked about today. It's called "I Want You to Be Angry." It's from the movie entitled The Network, from I want to say 71, but I could be off 5 years ahead or 5 years behind. But I know it's within that 5 year window, either 5 years forward or 5 years back. But it's called The Network. I want you to be angry. Y'all listen to that monologue, man. Oh my goodness. It explains exactly what we was talking about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good
and
deal.
For the Boston Tea Party right here, and they was looking for something. I'll explain that the next time. You can ask me that tomorrow.
Got you. No, we ain't gonna be here tomorrow. Now I got class tomorrow. We'll be here Thursday.
Well, that's right. You can ask me on Thursday.
Okay.
They was looking for something though. It was the cloak was taxation without representation. That was the cloak, but they was actually looking for something. I think Bishop know exactly where I'm gonna go.
Okay. Good deal. Good deal. Well, we are about to get out of here, man. And Rico, what's going on at 3 o'clock today? So what is going on at 3 o'clock today?
If you missed today's program or came in late, like I did once again, and would like to catch the replay, you can tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on www.dkmmediagroup.com and catch it in its entirety.
And if y'all get an opportunity, please, everybody that's listening and everybody that's a part of the broadcast, share it on your page as well. We put a lot of information out there today. We covered a lot today, man. And we did not get to our topic at all. We didn't get to our topic at all today, which sometimes it worked that way. But I think we put a lot of very valuable information out there, man. And we don't always agree on everything, we open up the dialogue. We had a conversation. Leonard, I think Leonard, where he was coming from was he don't like getting caught up in the black and the racism thing, the race thing. He don't get caught up in that a lot. So he come from that standpoint, and so he like to deal with a lot of time both sides of the coins. And so we're not gonna, and I love and respect that brother just like I do everybody that's on here, man. We're not gonna always agree. It's just what it is. That's just what it is. You know, families don't always agree. Yes, sir.
I'm like that too. You know, one thing we have to always remember that we have to be legitimate in when we are discussing these issues or when we are saying something is a race issue, because you don't want to delegitimize or make it the situation illegitimate, because that term race card will be used against a legitimate race issue. So, you know, and I'm one of those same people. If I know that it is a legitimate race issue, I'm the first one to stomp on it. No, that ain't racism.
Yeah.
So I agree.
And so that's what it is, man. And just for anybody that's listening, you may be listening for the first time, but you may be listening to us for a long time. We're not here to attack each other at all. That's not what we do. We have open and honest dialogue. And sometimes if you come, sometimes it's a little aggressive, sometimes it is. But at the end of the day, it's all out of love. It's all out of love. We love and respect each other wholeheartedly. Toy, you with a T. Are you there?
Yeah, Raheem, don't forget to share about the prom. It's coming up soon. So share that on your page so I can share that again.
Absolutely. I sure will. And thank you for that, sister. I appreciate it. And I want everybody, man, if y'all available, come out to the prom, man. It's going to be a great event, man. So y'all make sure y'all come out and get Jim. I'm going to put my little tux on, y'all. Y'all going to see me in a little tuxedo. Yes, indeed. My God, I'm going to be sharp.
Me too. It came right on time with my graduation. Me too. I'm finna, what?
Boy, look, I'm going to be sharp. I'm going to be
Miss Miracle.
Ooh, wait, that razor blade going to be jealous of me because I'm going to be just that sharp. That razor blade going to be jealous of me. Hey, Toy, you want to see prayers out, sis?
All right. Thank you, Lord, for another glorious day, Lord. We want to thank you yet for another great conversation, Lord. These are things that need to be uprooted and discussed, Lord, because if we don't bring it to the surface, we cannot overcome it and become united like we need to be, Father. So we want to thank you for another great conversation. Thank you for this platform and allowing Raheem to be obedient to your word, as well as all the other kings and queens that we have online and listening, Lord. We hope that you're taking this and this is being used for the greatness and the good of humanity, Father. So we thank you. We ask that you continue to give us your glory, your honor, your praise, and your protection and everything that we do, and keep us in alignment with what is your will, Father. We thank you, we love you, and we praise you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. We're about to get out of here for today. It's been a great broadcast. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DK, your media group, and associates, and the Morning Glow for being a part of your day. It is now 10:07. You're about to exit the Morning Glow. But before you go, I want you to taking out that thing threw me off right there. I want you to take an opportunity and give somebody up. Man, you got me all messed up this morning. I'm reading, trying to say it at the same time. Let me start this thing all over again. You're about to exit the Morning Glow, but before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us because we're certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody, and give them a hug because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. And we shine some of this light on you from the Morning Glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in and let your light so shine. If you get an opportunity, give somebody some love. You just might find some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Have a great day. Love each other and be blessed.